boy. No, not that sick boy. I'm talking about this sick boy. This is actually a zombie film, and it does have a bit of a different take on this zombie genre. Now let me give you a little bit of a plot summary here. Essentially it focuses on the story of a young girl who is kind of flitting from job to job. It seemingly doesn't really know what she's doing with her life, and she's a little bit sort of ditzy. She's in a kind of relationship with this guy who's getting a bit frustrated with her kind of keep quitting jobs and things like that. So their kind of relationship's a little bit strained because of that. Now, she actually gets a job off her friend who kind of directs her to this sort of doctor who wants her to babysit her young son. Now, when we get to this woman's house, we find out her son is actually quite ill and pretty much kept to the kind of the lower levels of this kind of large house. And she's told specifically, when you're babysitting overnight, you must not go down to this kind of lower levels. But of course, as you'd expect, curiosity gets the better of her, and she can't help sort of snooping around. And you discover some kind of disturbing things that don't seem quite right, and maybe point towards something that's a little bit just going wrong here. And of course, as I've mentioned, this is a zombie film, and the sick boy is actually some kind of zombie. Now, we're told sort of early on that there's this kind of like blue flu outbreak, it's called, and this is ultimately the kind of the beginning of the kind of a zombie outbreak, if you like. So this really is a kind of almost like a prequel to a sort of a zombie film in a way. The very sort of early stages where no one really knows what's going on, and this is just focusing on one sort of small particular case, so to speak. Now, this film, I would have to say, is 90% build up. You won't really see any type of horror, so to speak, until the kind of the last 15 minutes or so. So if you don't like a film that is pretty much all sort of tension and build up, and you want kind of your more gore for your money, then you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed with this film. But I have to say, I did quite like the kind of tension building. I thought it did quite a good job of keeping the kind of, you don't know quite what's going on and how things are going to pan out. And, you know, building up a good sense of tension. I actually quite liked it. But I do appreciate it won't be for everyone. However, this film is crippled by some severe logic issues. And just kind of, I don't think it can see past its sort of B-movie rotes. And it could have been a really sort of disturbing story. Because there's been plenty of kind of like these creepy kid movies that are genuinely scary. And this one, I think, chooses to just go down a kind of more of a schlocky route. And it just plays like a sort of just a B movie, and it knows it's a B movie, and it doesn't really try to be anything else. But I think it could have been, which is the frustrating thing about this film. The acting, I have to say, it isn't fantastic, which is the first kind of thing. It's like B-level acting. Some of the kind of just the shots are kind of just cheap and stupid. Like we see one of her previous jobs as a dentist, and there's kind of blood squirting everywhere, and it just doesn't happen like that in a dentist. And for example, we have it towards the end of the film, and this is, again, I'm going to talk about some plot holes here, and just kind of, again, logic issues that just wouldn't happen in real life. We have a policeman entering a kind of house, and his reaction to what happens, if you think about it from a policeman's point of view, wouldn't happen like that. It just wouldn't happen like that, and it's just illogical. And plus, the thing that bugged me the most, I have to say, is the inconsistency with the actual zombies themselves. Now, it's called Sick Boy. There are other kind of infected people as well. I won't go too much into detail, but the first time we see one, they actually act in quite a significantly different way, as if it's a slower process, and they kind of act more sort of intelligently, so to speak. I won't go too much into it, but basically, that is inconsistent to how other people are affected later on. So it doesn't kind of make sense within its own rules, which is kind of the frustrating thing. So I think this film is a bit of a missed opportunity, I have to say, because it could have been a fantastic, really creepy film. And I do like the fact that it's just a completely sort of different type of zombie film, in the fact that it plays a lot more like a mystery than a kind of a straight up sort of horror film, if that makes sense. And it was a good, I mean, you had some good sort of character building, and you kind of, even though the acting wasn't great, you did kind of get the sense of, you get to know Lucy, who is the kind of the main character, the babysitter. And I quite like that, and you can kind of relate to her, despite the fact, obviously, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but the acting wasn't great. Yeah, the makeup, I have to say, when we do see the zombies, pretty damn decent, you know, gooey makeup and quite sort of freaky looking. The sick boy, you won't see as much as you think. Like I said, the action really is kind of just in the last 15 minutes or so, so there won't be all of that sort of a huge amount of time sort of dedicated towards the kind of the actual horror, so to speak. But it wasn't a bad film. I actually say it's probably, from a B-movie level, it's probably slightly above kind of average in my own opinion. But it's not going to be for everyone. Like I said, it is a slow burn. So I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. So have you seen Sick Boy? Let me know what you thought of it. Leave me a comment and I will look forward to seeing you next time. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.